coffee
first. Get that going there.
Oh, making a mess.
That's good.
It's not even my notebook, so let me fix this mess. Boy.
Man. How many pages deep?
God. And on that note, we're leaving all this in the video. I'm Coach Christian.
I am Coach Brik.
Coffee time with Coach.
There, you got me hanging, sorry, brother.
And let's get into having coffee without me spilling it all over the place. Still spilling.
A little bit. Sorry, it's a little bit.
You know what I'm saying? All right, my gigantical mocha.
So we'll cheers on that.
My nonna would be very proud of how big my mocha is right now.
She'll be rocking to that coffee. So we'll start with last week was submission to Death Race.
Yes.
Yes, and that went well.
For you?
For me, it did.
They said yes.
Yes. So Death Race 2022 bound. We are.
We are just trying to figure out the logistics because my truck is still in the shop. But
It should be free.
it should be free. Hopefully it's free this week, which would give us a week to drive it, figure out what kind of gas mileage it's getting now. And also, you know, when you take a bunch of stuff apart, you got to kind of drive it around and make sure that everything's put back together.
Back in the
legit.
right spot, yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. That's important.
Yeah. Good news is the truck will have a working fuel gauge when we pick it up. Because running out of gas, running out of fuel in a diesel truck is not fun.
Not at least.
Not fun. Get air in the lines, got to bleed the lines.
Not fun. I've had
All
that happen
that.
before. I learned that the hard way too. We rented a U-Haul when we were touring on the band, and I didn't know that about diesels.
I also learned it the hard way.
Yeah, it was
Every single time. It's the hard way I learn it.
This is the only way to learn it. It seems to make the imprint in your mind a little bit more distinct.
It does. It does.
You will never forget that again.
So, for those of you guys that don't know who we are and have not seen any of the previous podcasts, we're two dads. We both have kids that are into obstacle course racing. My kid right now is doing 75 hard also, which is fun.
Also, my kid's doing Ninja Warrior as well.
And that's what's up. We are into obstacle course racing. That is our thing. That is like what's our common denominator, or one of our common denominators. And Death Race is kind of like maybe like the upper echelon of hardcore OCR stuff that we can do here in America, I guess, or put on by an American company.
Yeah.
Put on by Peak Races, which is like a Spartan
Subsidiary or partner?
something like that.
Partner? Yeah, we'll go with that.
It's some Spartan-y.
Spartan related somehow.
Spartan related somehow.
Peak Race is the part of a lot of races, a lot of endurance races throughout the country.
So, you know, we mentioned in the last podcast, we have no idea what is going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
We didn't even know if Brik would get accepted. I kind of knew it in my heart because I'm like, what Brik does kind of is in the mindset of what they're looking for.
Right.
And so I felt, I'm like, we're going to get this pulled off, and then we just need to figure out how to get up there.
Yeah, logistics at that point. And then, of course, logistics through the race, and then surviving and coming back for July 4th, and David Goggins.
Do you have a roll of quarters?
I do not, but that's an easy one. I have enough quarters to make a roll, I just don't have it yet.
All right.
We're talking about gear list. So let's talk about the dynamic of why. Why? Because as I brought this up this weekend, we had a gathering this weekend, one of our meetings, and as I brought that up, the look of absolute confusion on so many people's faces as to why I would want to participate in something, first off, even called a death race, let alone the name, and then ultimately to go through it. And I was trying to explain this to people that aren't of the OCR mindset, or aren't necessarily even of that mindset of wanting to put their bodies through that kind of test, let alone their bodies as well as their minds. And it's for some reason, as soon as I heard about it, it just piqued my interest. I like the idea of being challenged and being taken to the point of where you'll break, and then knowing where that point is, and then, you know, being able to navigate past that point even further. You know, I think that's something that I've been blessed with having a relatively comfortable life. You know, yeah, a lot of problems, a lot of issues, a lot of things that I could point out that were challenges, and there were challenges, not belittling any of them, but I've just in life have come across people that are like, makes my life look like royalty, right? Like I was born with a silver spoon in my mouth, which I certainly was not. I mean, parents went through hard times, and we went through some challenging points in our life, but we live a comfortable life, right?
I mean, we
coffee, water filtered.
Dude, we live
cars.
in America. We have
First and
healthy
foremost.
kids. We are healthy.
Yeah.
Like, you know,
Yeah, it's just
we kind of got it better than most. Just
Hands
in
down.
that.
Just right there.
Like just right there. Just right there. It's you know, not almost, but you know, reality. It's all the blessings you need. You know, it's all the things you need to be grateful
everything you build up from there. Yeah, 100%. And then we sit there and we want to be able to articulate this to our kids, how fortunate they themselves are, because they have these simple devices, and being able to have access to all the things that they have were things they, you know, we weren't able to. And then subsequently, you know, they can find themselves being I don't want to use the word soft because it sounds derogatory, but ultimately it is soft. They find themselves being more fragile and delicate than they are, and they don't realize that. So for me, it's like, even in my own walk, I'd like to test those boundaries and see where those chinks in the armor are, where I'm weak, or where I could push myself a little bit more, and I think that's part of the attraction to the race from my end, and also not knowing what it's going to be is really fascinating in itself.
Yeah, no idea, unless they've posted it somewhere, and I don't want to see it anyway.
Yeah,
no idea what's going to happen. You know, the testing the boundaries thing is real. We talk a lot. We always reference like cars.
mm-hmm.
You know, that's what race cars do, right? They're just kind of pushing the envelope to see what can be done, and then those things trickle down and end up in civilian cars, right?
Mm-hmm.
Cars that drive every day. Almost like, well, actually, maybe the same thing with humans, right? We have these bigger, not bigger in size, but in personality and things that they do, like out of this world humans, like a Goggins,
Right,
or a Cameron Haynes, or even like our boy Hunter.
mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like, you have these people that push so hard the boundary of like what a human can do endurance wise, mindset wise, and then, you know, it inspires other people to do their push, right?
Yeah.
It makes it trickles down to making other people better, because people can see, like, a lot of times people don't do things, they you know, things are impossible till you see it done.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? When the first time we heard about running 4 miles every 4 hours, 48 hours, we were like, "Oh, that's crazy."
Yeah, and even when you even share with people, it just seems like these numbers and these miles, and you kind of like, how does it compute, right?
Now I feel like we do it all the time.
It feels like it's not that challenging. It's like getting up every 4 hours. It's like a nap. Get up, run 4 hours, 4 miles is not really that much, and sleep and get up, do it again.
It never really takes us more than an hour.
No, never.
And then you get to relax. You don't always get to sleep. Sometimes your legs will be like blown up, or sometimes at like, what was it? Did we do it like at 1 a.m.? Were we like 1 hour off because of Goggins on the other coast?
Yeah, we did that one year. Yeah.
You know, when you have coffee at 1 a.m. and then you run for 40 minutes, you're probably not sleeping at 1:40 a.m.
Yeah. And there's adrenaline, there's the whole aspect of how your body processes that. So
yeah.
But these are just things that, you know, once you go through them, you're capable of doing them. You realize that your mind and your body are. You've seen, you know, how many people just with obstacles, like, you know, like the rings, I can't do it or whatever, and all of a sudden they get that one ring, and all of a sudden by the time they're by the 5th ring, it's like beginning to dial in. and then they get back on and they just know, especially with kids, 'cause you see this with kids much more readily, where it's like they can't at all, and then all of a sudden, like literally like that, they can. I've seen that with my daughter so many times, where it's just like, oh, she can't do something or can't figure out, and once she figures out the mechanics, once her mind lets her body know that it's done, or her body actually in that case lets her mind know it can be done, sometimes it does work that way. Your mind's going, no, I can't, all of a sudden your body just did it, and your mind's like, oh wait, I can.
I guess everybody deals with this different. For me, this is where visualization is a big part of the game for me. It took me a long time to be able to do muscle ups. Given, not an excuse, but I've been plagued with a shoulder injury since 2007. I was in a bad accident. So I did have to mitigate that. But then I just didn't, people were like, oh, if you could do 15 pull-ups and 15 dips, you can do a muscle up. I guess, but I couldn't, right? Because I guess I didn't understand the fucking motion.
It's the mechanics.
But as soon as I visualized it, that was it. So that's, kind of like what's going on, you're saying, like with Mini Monkey.
Mm-hmm.
Like I tried this for months. Like I remember one year, like I was like, man, if I was gonna die 3 days from now, what are one of the things I would want to do? And it was
short-term bucket list.
It was a fucking muscle up. I didn't get it in 3 days. I mean, my wrists were like jacked up. Like I tried it.
On the ring or bar?
On the rings. Yeah. And then once I got it, I was like, oh shit, this is what I wasn't doing correctly the whole time. And it was it was an awareness thing. It wasn't a physical thing. It wasn't that I wasn't pulling hard enough. I just didn't understand what my body was supposed to do as it was going through that movement, And
I think that just relates to life.
Yeah.
These aspects and doing something like this race, putting yourself, you're not sure what you're capable of enduring or what you're able to go through. And then once you're able to do so, I find that I'm stronger for it.
100%.
Right? And that's my motivation, is to be HTK, right? Harder to kill in every regard. It's like every little bit, every little nuance. And then also knowing where your own personal thresholds are. It's like, and praying that, in my life, that those situations come up that are voluntary and not that I'm put under that duress of having to do that because my actual life depends on it.
Yeah.
But if my life depends on it, I'm going to be a lot calmer. I'm going to be more centered, more grounded, because I know that I know.
Mostly voluntarily, I have found the structural breaking points of most of my skeletal structure.
Voluntarily. I don't know how much of it was voluntary.
You know what I'm saying? Not like, not by situations I didn't put myself in. Let's put it that way, But I'm like, man, like I have broken my back in multiple places, my neck, both my arms, both my hands. I'm just a mess.
And here you are.
This foot, this ankle.
It's still going.
Yeah. So, when finding the threshold of what your limit is, it's kind of like you want, when you're playing and you want to turn the gain up to like where it's like distorting, and then we turn it just one notch down. Mm-hmm. You want to find the place where your bones are going to snap and just dial it back a little bit.
Yeah. Or a lot of bit, depending.
Or a lot of bit.
Depending on the time of the year, what season we're in.
But, strangely, all that shit healed up.
Yeah.
The human body is such a fascinating,
phenomenal
piece of machine, and even now, like, just got back on 75 hard, day 8. You're also on day 8.
Mm-hmm.
Baby Champ is either a day ahead of us or a day behind us. Once I got COVID, I wasn't able to do anything. Like, it really derailed me big time. But now, the last few days, I've been able to do pull-ups in a set of 10 unbroken.
Oh, nice.
Which I have not been able to do since COVID. And it's like very small milestones, right? And I realized the other day, the building blocks.
Yeah.
I was like, man, I got off the bar. And I was so grateful that I pulled off those 10 reps. And I was like, man, I took shit for granted when I felt like I was a superhero a few months ago.
Yeah.
And I guess got a fucking humble check like a motherfucker. Oh, you think you're a superhero? How's this for size? So we'll take away your fucking aerobic capacity, your...
Now we build it back.
Everything.
Now you build it back and you know, go ahead. Go beyond that. Yeah.
100%. 100%. One of the things that was brought up, you know, we're talking about, we were doing the logistics of how we're getting to Vermont before turning on the podcast. The truck goes safely 60 miles an hour. So it's going to take us a long time to do it's 1,600 miles up, 1,600 back. It's actually, what is it, 1,540 exactly?
1,540, I believe, yeah.
It's 1,540. We got to be conservative a little bit because, you know, you can't, because you got to be conservative in driving a 30-year-old car. So we're figuring 1,600 miles up, 1,600 miles back. It's going to take us a long time driving very slow. We're only going to be able to drive about 8 hours a day. So one of the things we're discussing, or one of the things I suggested, was we wake up, we work out, we drive 4 hours, we do our second workout, and then we do the rest of the drive. So we're doing 8-hour drives a day, 4-hour stints at a time. We should be able to go 4 hours on a tank of gas. That's another thing we have to factor, because we don't want to stop unnecessarily.
Yeah.
Right? We want to play
as effective as possible.
Play those stops. And one of the things that was brought up was the last time we did the 4x4x48, the situation was like, you were not in a good condition towards the end of that. Mm-mm. I actually think towards the end I was in a great condition. I wasn't in a good condition the set, like halfway through, I think.
I think halfway through was the hardest. Yeah.
And this person was like, how are you guys safely going to drive from Vermont to Florida after not sleeping for 4 days and then not sleeping while running and driving? So I guess we could, or I just brought it up, so now we can have a conversation about it, and the camera's rolling. I guess to me, it's like, I guess it really actually comes down to you. Like, what kind of a rush are you in to get home? I know you have to see your kids. I know you're going to have massages to do and things to do. But it really, you know, it might be more than we think we're taking on. It's not easy to do the 4x4x48. It's not like, now it's something that we do, so it's not a devastating, life-changing thing. However, it's not easy.
No, by any stretch of the imagination.
And
so there's circumstances too.
When I was having this conversation yesterday, one of the things I thought of was like, what would it be like to do like just a smaller version of that? So like the last year when we did the 12-hour hurricane heat, mm-hmm. and then we ran the sprint, and then we ran the sprint again with Michael's kids, I was really tired at the end of that. Mm-hmm. We're going to be way more tired than that, and then start the 4x4x48.
Driving home, 1,600 miles.
Driving home, yeah.
Yeah, so we'd have to stop at that point every 4 hours to run.
We'd have to stop every 4 hours to run, but I don't know if we should be strategic. First of all, if we're in the Hummer, we can easily bring my tent, mm-hmm. and it's fucking huge, and it sets up very quick.
Yeah, exactly. So camp out anywhere.
You know, we could just. I have a Gazelle T4, which is the.
Great tent.
I don't know if it's considered for a person. The reason I love the tent is I'm 6 foot tall and I can stand up in it. If you're in the woods for more than a week at a time, to me that's priceless.
Yeah.
Totally priceless to be able to stand up. I have this big ass. I guess I glamp everywhere I go. I have this big ass.
I didn't think about that.
Sleeping pad. Mm-hmm. I have like this cashmere wool sleeping bag.
I haven't seen the sleeping bag.
I'm so cush
Cashmere
when I'm out there, but
nice.
we
You're rocking Led Zeppelin.
you know, on the way home, like we're probably gonna need to just hunker down and like maybe run in one place for a little bit, and then maybe drive some.
That might be an idea.
You know, mainly not to wuss out on the situation, but realistically just to be fucking safe, right? Not just safe us getting home, but you know, when you're on the highway, it's the safety of everybody around you.
Yeah,
we don't want to driving asleep. I don't know this firsthand actually because I don't really drink, so I've never been like driving.
It's worse.
Drunk, but
it's worse.
You know, I'm told it's like comparable, right?
Not that I'm saying that I have, but I'm also saying that I haven't. But definitely makes it. You're dozing off. You're
dozing off.
You're completely. You're not in your body.
The good thing is when you're in the truck, it's not an easy place to doze off.
Fair enough.
You know, it's fucking loud. There's a big sticker that came in the truck says you should be wearing hearing protection. It's loud on a serious note. It's now quieter than it was a few weeks ago because we fixed the exhaust. It had an exhaust leak. Oh my god, that thing was unbelievably loud. But it's still loud, which I think helps when you're trying to stay awake driving it for a lot of hours. I think that goes a long way.
Yeah, you can't close the windows. It's not like you come with this nice quiet compartment.
There's no quiet compartment. Even if the windows, you can slide the windows up.
Yeah.
But even with the windows slid up, it's loud. There's no way to seal the doors. And, you know, if it's raining, you know, the top on that truck is 30 years old, man. It just rains right through the roof of the truck. So now we're getting wet. I'm just saying you're not in the comfort zone, which makes it easy to stay awake. But safety first.
100%.
How is your, or actually before we dive into some other shit, did you have anything else on this?
No, that was it. Yeah.
Getting up there and back. How is your 75 hard going?
Good. Challenging over the weekend. We had ceremony and had some
I bet
dynamics.
that was very challenging, actually.
It was challenging to fit everything in and have it kind of all work out. Had to get creative on some of the workouts. Some of it were real life workouts, chopping wood.
Oh, yeah.
That was like legit. Numerous times, actually. We put up a teepee. So there was a lot of work involved with that because we had brand new poles. So they were 35-foot poles, and we had to try to set them up, and they wouldn't fit with the overhang of the trees, and I bring them down. So that was just like some serious focused work on that, and it was good. It's moving along. Diet's been easier than last time. Water's been good. Random acts of kindness have been pretty easy.
The what?
Random acts of kindness. Those have been pretty easy to come across. I mean, we live in a big city, so it's simple to be able to find something to do for somebody.
Yeah.
Even if they're not.
It's always somebody in need.
Yeah, that's always. Cold showers. That's we're in Florida, so.
They're almost not as cold, right?
Yeah. We'll see what they're going to be as we get further north. I'm sure Vermont, they're going to be quite pleasant. Just dive into a river somewhere.
It's going to be like Wim Hof cold showers.
Oh, for sure.
But even like, even at Camp Murphy, the water in the river was fucking cold, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, legitimately.
Legit cold. Like, when I fell in, because I did not go in voluntarily. When I fell in, I had that, that moment when you jump in the ice and you're just like,
yeah.
And I was like, oh fuck, I'm like, this water's colder than I'm expecting it to be, like totally colder than I was expecting it to be.
Yeah, we're if you've been to Florida in the water, we take it for granted.
Oh yeah,
because it's bathtub warm.
On its coldest day, that's not true, not on its coldest day, but generally the water's never below 70 degrees.
Yeah.
It
takes a lot for it to get below.
Yeah.
And in summer, sometimes it's actually hotter in the water than it is out.
That's right now already. Did you train at the beach yesterday or no? We trained at the beach Friday, I think.
Yeah, Warren.
Was it Friday?
I believe, it was Friday.
Yeah. We trained at the beach Friday, and already Friday, the water was actually warm. like it caught me by surprise. I put my foot in. I was like, oh shit, it's like bathtub water today.
Yeah, it's definitely. We're at that point. The weather's changed in the last like 2-3 weeks. It's gotten like summer.
Very quickly.
Sun beats differently.
Yeah.
It feels different. It actually starts reminding me of Sundance. So it's
I'm wearing a hoodie and I set the AC to freezing so I could try and feel like it's not summer.
And he's doing a good job. It's cold in here.
You know what I'm saying? The dogs are enjoying it. That's why they're down here making as much noise as humanly possible. I wish the camera could just
see that happen.
turn and capture what this guy is doing.
Yeah, he's comfortable. It's funny stuff, man.
Just the loud, buddy. Come on, man.
So I think we have a game plan. We'll figure some things out this week. Make things happen. We'll be documenting this whole journey as we go along. Every step of it, I think we'll get it up there, and you guys can follow us, and you know, definitely we'll and can use the encouragement. Because I think as things start progressing and you know start wearing down, that's when
things start getting real.
Yeah, which are gonna happen very quick.
Yeah, things will get real. For me, I mean, things are probably real for you already. Have you started the packing list?
No, I have not. I just started this. I had to get through the weekend. This
week is up. Things will get real for me when I pick up the truck and I go through the process of determining, will we have doors, will we not?
Mm-hmm.
You know, little things that look, at least all the fluids will be changed. Like it'll be good for what we're doing. But I think that's when things are gonna get real. It's when I'm driving from Homestead to here. I'm like processing the whole next time. And one of the things, you know, why do people go through this process that was brought up to you during ceremony? People ask me in the same exact fashion, why would you go to ceremony?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Exact ceremony, yeah. I can
and
see that.
it's not a party thing.
Mm-hmm.
Like it really is. When I guess the only way that I can explain when I join you for ceremony or when I go with other people, it's however long it takes. It's like, to me, it's like I'm praying, I guess, for whatever it is. It's like a 15-hour long prayer.
Yeah, it's like a hurricane heat prayer.
It's a hurricane heat prayer. You know what I'm saying? And but it is one of those things that I think is like the things that we don't focus on every day.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like even we focus obviously on health all the time, and we dive into like this spiritual aspect and the mental health aspect of what we do and of our tribe.
Mm-hmm.
I just use that word tribe that I feel like is overplayed and I don't like using, but
it's appropriate.
The noise machines are out. But you know, those things really do change like the patterning of how we think. Like I think like being in ceremony really does change and affect. Like when I leave, it's almost like I've cleaned out my entire house.
Yeah.
And it does, you know, and it's awesome, and it can be life changing to clean out your house. Come on, buddy, get out of here. But with that being said, it you know, even if we clean every inch of this house, 6 months from now it'll need to be cleaned again. Yeah. You know, it's not
3 months.
It's not a magic trick, and a lot of people, I think, because of like media and podcasts
and possibly how they want it to be. I would like they would like it to be easier than what it is.
But people have these ideas about it, like it's like, oh, I went to the jungle and was in a ceremony and my life changed, and it's life changing.
Absolutely.
But then it's not over, right? It's things
it's
that
just begun.
It's the beginning of changing your life.
Actually,
it definitely creates a bunch of awareness of things that you now have to actually change.
There was, I had an experience. 100%. I had an experience with a brother that had come to the ceremony, and
let me get these guys out of here real quick.
And he had come with the hopes that everything was going to be fixed in that one night, and came in the morning, and he had a pretty intense experience, but he kind of felt more or less in the same space, and he was very depressed, and he he actually contemplated taking his life throughout that week because he was at that point prior to going to the ceremony, and found about this out, quite some time after, from his own words, and then he realized that week that he started thinking and making plans about how he's going to check out. And mind you, this is family person, kids, the whole bit. He's just in a real dark place, and found himself in the process that week, and then had a breakdown, and then found himself in an institution setting. And he says that's when the medicine all hit him. That's when it just all of a sudden it just all came into this fruition. And then subsequently, I'm very happy to say that his process is going and he's come an incredibly long way, and still going. But that's the thing; it's never done. And these ceremonies, these workouts, these dynamics of what we do help us stay in that state, and then ultimately also helps us have perspective to talk to other people. I think that helps a lot too, so that person doesn't have to go through that experience, so to speak, whatever the experience is, and we have a relatability to how to share with them what the experience is, and hopefully at some point that'll click with that person, because we're all such individual human beings.
Yeah.
We all need our own journey. Some people need it more physical, more emotional, more spiritual, whatever it is.
We all need our own journey, and one of the things, going back to what we were saying earlier, the knowing your limits. A lot of times we talk about being prepared, and a lot of people are like, they want to do firearms training, or they come at me with like, I'm building this whole bug out situation with food storage. You all have missed the point, because preparedness before anything else really starts there. Here, right? How you react in a situation mentally is the first determining factor of life or death. Not how many cans of food you have stored, not how many guns you own, or how many boxes of ammo you have, or the bug out truck that you've built. And mind you, I kind of feel like I have all of those things. Like I've got all those things checked off in my own mind, which some other person might be like, your checkoff list sucks. It's fine, right? That's how I'm prepared. I know how to use the equipment that I use, and I'm prepared in that sense. But the reality is, if I ever think of if things were to fall apart, I am prepared, and I don't need any of those things with me. And I know where my kid lives, and even though she's in a different state, I know every road to get from here to there. I know how long it will take with my rucksack to walk from here to there. God forbid if I had to. Right. That's real preparedness. Real preparedness is, dads, can you fill a backpack with shit you need to survive and walk to your kid in a different state? Because if you're not prepared for that, I promise you, the fucking 1,000 pounds of food you have stored under your house, or the 1,000,000 rounds of ammo will not do shit. You cannot carry 1,000,000 rounds of ammo with you. I do the ammo thing all the time because I hear that shit all the time. Oh, I got all these guns. I'm like, how many guns can you carry with you, and how much ammo can you carry on your person? Yeah. Let's start there. Oh, you can't.
And where are you going? Yeah, I mean, you have a clear direction of what you're talking about, but where are you going ultimately? Sometimes you're just gonna have to hunker down and stay where you're at, especially for those of us that live in the city. There's only so many places you can run, and we're in Florida too. So we have our dynamics where.
I think we need to make like a dad's group.
We're talking about that. You were talking about that.
Of preparedness. And not the doomsday preppers that's on the TV show. Because being actually prepared, being in the mindset of, how do I react? How do I have a plan of reacting? Right? What have I outlined for my other loved ones so that they can react and follow the same plan? This happens, we go to this protocol, this is where we're hanging out at, right?
Right.
So, I think that's such an important thing. And I think that becomes I'm not a doomsday, doom and gloom kind of guy, but lately, like, I think that's becoming more and more important, right? Like, how well prepared are we mentally? How physically prepared are we to have to deal with whatever it is that we might have to deal with? Look, you might not have any tools on you at all when you are confronted with that challenge. Mm-hmm. How prepared are you then, right? When you guys are on, on the side of that mountain with no food and no water, right? Like, that's preparing a state of mind. Like, how prepared are they?
Yeah.
They have nothing.
Mm-hmm. And then going from there.
And you're going from there.
And you're going from there. So the mindset is really, really, really important, which is why, circles back to everything we're talking about, all of this stuff. That's what we're trying to do. And that's such an individual journey, man. Such an individual perspective of where you need to be and how you're going to react in that situation and have these things happen. And then part of that mental journey, too, is being able to navigate a situation without those things, what you're talking about. So it's like, you find yourself in a gas station right now and someone's wigging out and you just don't have your firearm, whatever the case is, or it's just a regular day. It's like, how can you navigate that situation? And how your mindset is in that moment is going to dictate how that situation is going to go down. Are you going to be able to help someone out? And ultimately, sometimes even at this particular juncture in the world where things are, it's like being able to, a random act of kindness, being able to just reach out to someone and do something nice, even if it's just verbally sending them some words and some vibes. Or sometimes I tend to really very often, send prayers a lot to people when I'm out driving. Someone would just cut you off and flick you off and just be a complete jerk. And I'm just like, reaction is you want to, react with that same energy. Man, I'm cruising. I'm chill right now. Everything, my wife's good, my kids. I'm in a good state. I have no idea what that person's going through, what duress that person's going through, and how they're dealing with their moment. And adding more fuel to that fire, just you create yourself that target.
My you're right. You're right. When people cut you off, you do have to like take a step back and trying to think of like, what is this guy going through? Maybe this person just got in a fight with their wife or just got fired from work.
I think about that story you had. I think it was a couple years ago where you were in the Humvee with Mr. Falcone, just very tiny
dude jumped out.
Yeah, completely. To you, it's just like, you're in a Humvee, you're at a cross section, you have a 140-pound dog. You obviously look like someone that would be carrying a firearm. Out of everybody, why am I going to go pick a fight with you? Well, because that's what that guy wanted to do right there. Because that's what he felt he needed to do.
Yeah, and that dude was definitely not in a good state of mind at that time.
100%.
You could read it in his face. Like, he was indecisive about his own decisions. He was just stirred up and had to get some anger out. And didn't realize till he got really close to his approach that he was like, oh, fuck, this is a bad fucking idea.
Yeah, and make sure you handle it super calmly. Yeah, what is it? Both dogs are outside. You have a third dog upstairs?
I will be so mad if we have a third dog and I don't know about it.
It's like wife-elect will have some explaining to do.
Wife-elect it would be a goat probably if there's something upstairs.
That would definitely be
and
my
she
wife,
would definitely be trying to hide a goat from me.
For fear that you might eat it.
Or a chicken. She knows I won't eat the chicken.
Chicken milk. But if you have goat, you get goat's milk. That's pretty good.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. It's really intense.
Let's let the dog in and see if there's another dog in the house.
Yeah, let's see that. So it's interesting.
That's ever happened in this podcast. Yes. Go upstairs.
There you go. Meanders along. So yeah, definitely jumping on some topics here. The mindset, being able to be prepared in that situation, and it kind of circles back to what we were talking about all around, which is the death race and being prepared and the things that we do on a regular basis or try to do. More so, my gun skills and ammunition skills on that end are definitely lacking. But I feel that I've been really putting a lot of time and effort and energy into the other dynamics of being able to be in a certain state mentally to be able to confront the things that are coming down our path right now as individuals and as a nation and as a world. We're just talking about these plans right now going up to death race and realizing that gas is $5, and we're rounding it up to $6.
Diesel is $6.
And they were talking about gas, fuels potentially being up to $12 by next summer. It's something that we're all gonna have to confront and deal with.
Which, mind you,
on a global, on a national level.
2 years ago would have sounded like a joke.
Oh, I would have laughed.
I would have laughed 2 years ago if people said that gas was gonna double in price.
Completely, and it's tripled. At one point, we were down to $2. I remember $2.50 not too long ago. Here we are looking at $5, $6,
and greater depending on where you live.
California, New York.
Crazy.
So this mindset that we're talking about is super important because it's how you are vibrating through your entire world. Starting with yourself, we were talking about.
Yeah.
And then if companion, if you're married, kids in the house, aspects along those lines are very, very important. And being in that state, and I'm getting through that Jason Williams book, The Battle Cry, and so much of it is about being calm in the storm, right? Having that mindset, and his perspective a lot, because he's definitely a God-fearing man. Is very much putting that into spiritual. Hey! It's that kind of day today. We're in full effect. Maybe she's barking at your goat, dude.
Maybe.
And so much of the book, so many things that I was reading even today, was just so pertinent to this specific topic. He gives, in those situations, he gives all of his how would I say, that energy into Creator, having faith, because he's very, very, very much a man of faith, and so am I. And that's something that I've really cultivated and nurtured throughout my journey in life, and found my own understanding, my own relationship with that, and that gives me a lot of comfort in those moments. Mm-hmm. When you're on the side of the mountain, when you're at Sundance, even when this race coming up, having that moment of just like, okay, calm right now. If I find this space, we're gonna get through this. We're gonna get through this moment, and know that it's gonna happen, is something that I don't think a lot of people have. Maybe I'm being judgmental there, but I just feel like in our day, especially living in this town, it's like you see a lot of people are like outside of their bodies.
Actually.
Yeah. See people
disconnected
completely. People show up at and I usually when I do massage therapy, it's like one of the first things I'll do is just let that person kind of like, hey, let's just take some breaths right now. Let's let your body catch up. Let's let your spirit catch up to your body, because your body's physically here, but I don't know where your the rest of you is still scattered. Sometimes that happens at when you get to Sundance, you get people traveling, and it's like so chaotic to get someplace. You're finally at the place where you're going to set camp for the next 5, 6, 7 days, and it takes a while for all of it to kind of, and then you start communing, and then you start vibrating with the energy around you. When we used to go to Amsterdam a lot, when I was touring the band, my buddy we'd land, and he'd immediately put us to work on a project. Like immediately, we'd drop our bags off, and it wasn't like hey, have a seat. No, it was just like boom, we got to move this and that and that and that. And then it's like one of the times we're sitting there, we're just kind of, I remember one of my bandmates looking at me like, what the fuck, And then I guess he picked up on the vibe, and then he started explaining. He's like, now you're not a tourist anymore. Now you're working here. Now you're like you're beginning to plug into the vibration of what it is to be a local. And then afterwards, you kind of like come back out, and then we go, and then, it's Amsterdam, so we had to shop and chill, drink coffee, and all of a sudden it's just like, you're not a tourist anymore. And it was a very interesting psychological aspect of
I like that.
Plugging right in, right? Because a lot of times you get to a space and you're like, like 2 days in, you're like, oh my God, and all of a sudden you're seeing the ants, and you're seeing the stars and the vibration, and you're flowing differently, and that's connecting to your environment, super important.
Connecting to the environment.
And how do you do it?
We're gonna be doing a lot of that in the next few days. One of the things that I was talking to young Warren about, I think it would be cool, maybe get a little group of us. We didn't end up getting tags for the gator hunt that I go on, unfortunately, or fortunately, there's only so many gators you can hunt in Florida. We didn't get tags this year, so I was planning a hunting trip after we deal with death race, and after we deal with a 4x4x48.
After we conquer.
But I was thinking of doing it before Asheville, which now is actually not in North Carolina. The Asheville race is in South Carolina.
That's interesting. I saw that. I was trying to find that. I'm trying to find the location on it because I saw a post on it where it was in South Carolina.
Oh, good. I'm just stoked we have a new venue. I'm just stoked we have a venue. Let me back that up. Yeah. I'm stoked we have a race. I'm stoked we have a venue. It's not in Asheville. All good. Wherever it's at, I'm going to have an awesome time. All that being said, before Asheville, I want to try and hit some days in the woods and go hunting. I think it's going to be important for Warren to have the experience of killing something and then cooking it and eating it. I think it's a game changer type of thing, and I think back to that preparedness, let's just prepare by filling the freezer full of meat. That would be a good preparedness goal leading into winter, is having like a freezer full of meat.
Yeah, maybe even talking about jerking it up, maybe salting it, smoking it too, because that's no dynamic.
Yeah.
Freezer's only so good as long as we have electricity.
True.
We are in Florida, and we are going straight into hurricane season. Season is supposed to be very active, but I always take that with a grain of salt. Living here long enough, we know that nobody knows. Nobody knows. But, 1 year you have no hurricanes, and next year you're into past 26, and you're into Greek alphabet to name the storms. So you just don't know.
People forget when we had that bad hurricane season. I lived in Del Rey. We didn't have power for, I want to say, at least 45 days we were without power.
Yeah. That was for us. Was it Hurricane Wilma? For some reason, was that the one they hit?
I think it was the one. Wilma is how I lost my warehouse here in Miami. Mm-hmm. It was that hurricane season, I believe, but it was not Wilma.
It was Wilma. Because I think one of them had gone further north because we had so many.
Yeah.
Like 29. I think it was like 31 storms that year.
It was crazy.
It was like ridiculous. Yeah.
Yeah.
And being able to have your supplies taken care of in that realm is really important. So these are all things that we're working on, trying to figure out, trying to make ourselves as best as possible. One of the works I've been doing a lot in my life is finding myself to be in a good place spiritually in my own realm, in my own temple, so that I'm coming at it from a good place. And that it's challenging because I'm human and I have habits and we have reactionary things, and as much as I will send prayers to that one person, the very next day I could be trying to track that person down, flicking them off. You get caught up in that moment, you're like, oh, and then you're just like, oh,
I lost track of this earlier, but I pray for people that are having bad days, like that dude who jumped out of his car at me. But there are people in traffic that I just want to jump out and club.
Yeah,
and those are the litterers.
Oh, there's
like, I don't give a shit how bad your day is.
Yeah.
If you're throwing trash out your car window.
Yeah, you're at a different level. I've had some interesting conversations with my daughter about that, because she's just kind of questioning. It's like, why did that person just do that? That makes no sense. And I'm like, yeah. And then very often we've gone and cleaned up. We're always trying to clean up. I'm always picking up trash, but it's a full-time job, no matter where you go.
Like, I don't know what the way is of dealing with that. Certainly, I can't drag everybody out of their car and make them clean their own trash at gunpoint.
No, that would not bode well.
I have not done that, by the way.
No, but it crosses the mind.
It does cross my mind.
Because it's so frustrating. It's so incredibly upsetting to see that happen. And there's just no excuse for that.
When I was running for Supreme Leader, didn't work out apparently, because I'm sitting on a couch drinking coffee with Brik. But when I was running for Supreme Leader, I had some goals of how I was going to save this place. I was going to throw away the Green New Deal, and my deal for saving the environment was very basic. First offense littering, you go to jail, no matter who you are. Actually, we should up that. If you are a politician or related to one, you have a triple sentence, because you should know better.
Yeah.
First offense, overnight in jail, no matter who you are. Second littering offense, 30 days in jail, no matter what. Third littering offense, castration.
Shouldn't reproduce.
I mean, you can't reproduce if you're littering. If you cannot create
worthy.
another consumer, if you cannot take care of the planet.
Create another litterer. Because at that point, you're creating another litterer. You're setting the example. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's my plan. If you guys want to vote for that, right? First offense, littering, 1 night in jail. Second offense, 30 days in jail. Third offense, snip. I bet people stop littering very quickly. No, not or tie. We're not fucking tying shit off. We are removing.
Women. Oh, I guess, yeah.
We're removing.
Everything's getting cut. All right. It's true. This is,
Supreme leadership.
Yeah.
We're not talking about democracy.
Yeah, there is definitely something to be said about that dynamic.
Yeah.
Definitely.
How do you not take care of the earth, man? Like, we only have one earth, but it's the same thing. We only have one body, and people don't take care of it. I didn't take care of it. Hector finished 75 hard yesterday. He didn't take care of it until 150 fucking days ago.
Yeah. It's amazing.
It's amazing.
That's amazing.
It's amazing, and it still amazes me how lost the concept was on myself to take care of myself when I wasn't taking care of myself.
And I think it plugs right back into that whole aspect of also being aligned with the aspect of being good with yourself and spirit and whatever that is for you, because it's whatever this is, it's its own unique aspect of it. Taking care of it is extremely important, and being able to navigate that in the world around is extremely important, and being aware of that, and then exponentially kind of goes out from there. So I think about people that commit random acts of violence as people that are completely disconnected from their spirit. Because if you're connecting to yourself to something greater than yourself, the idea of going out and taking someone's life just because is not on the plate.
Yeah.
It's not on the plate. And I think a lot of times, unfortunately, sometimes with that is people on medications, psychoactive medication.
SSRIs.
Yeah, completely. It just disconnects that ability from us to connect with something.
I was watching somebody driving an assault vehicle. I think it might have been like a Camry, and they were driving into people.
An assault vehicle.
And
that was recent.
I think it was yesterday, or the day before. And I was like, man, we keep harping on these same fucking issues, and we never hit at the real issue. Like, this person was killing people with a car that is now an assault car. It takes you have to be at a certain place mentally to drive your car into other humans very much intentionally.
To kill them.
To kill them.
Yeah.
Right? We had that kid do that with the lady in the stroller 7 months ago in LA. And
it's in the air today.
And now she looks at me like, I'll stop. And now I know we're passing, there are a bunch of gun laws trying to be passed right now. I want you guys to, a lot of people have gun law opinions and they don't own guns. The reality is, if you're trying to commit an act of violence, you can get guns literally fucking anywhere.
And you don't need the gun.
And you don't need a gun.
It's a perfect example.
Golf clubs, assault clubs.
Car.
No, I'm saying golf clubs.
Yeah.
Assault clubs kill
Assault
more people
clubs,
than guns every fucking year.
No, is that an actuality?
It's an actuality.
No, I didn't even look that
Yeah.
up. Google that one up to see how that's broken down.
Using a car to kill people. People are disconnected from the soul. To drive a car into humans, to me, is takes a lot more than pulling a trigger.
Oh, yeah, I would think so. Yeah, at that point.
That's very up close and personal. You know what I'm saying?
Dynamic changes. It's like even when we talk about that, it's like even with that other shooter that was actually in the church and they had gone and visited the church before, which is ironic in the sense of talking about being in connection with spirit, had a conversation with that individual, with one of the individuals of the church, to come back the very next day to commit that act of violence is like, wow. It's like, how disconnected are you? It's like I have this empathetic dynamic when I deal with even with people that upset me, to sit there and it's like, to want to go and take that person's life for whatever the reason is I just can't fathom. I have my own disconnect from that ability to do so, and I think that's one of the things we need to be fostering in our children. Some aspects, like even be able to take a kid out to camping and have them connect to that outside, and I think would have that potential impact. How often we see the kids when we run them really hard through a program, or we have summer camp starting up now, Warrior Kids Academy, and seeing those kids go through it, and I know that in the process of what we're doing, we're going to be improving those kids' connection to who they are as human beings, period, without having to get into any dogma or any dialogue specifically. Just moving them, having them, doing the fear management and the failure management and the success management, even having that all work out is going to make those kids better. And then they're going to resonate with other kids when they're on the playground and when they're at school, and they come across a situation where perhaps a kid's being bullied, and they're going to, instead of jumping in, they're actually going to go the other direction. Hey, don't do that. Why are you doing that? There's no need to do that. However that plays out. And that's the change that we're trying to implement in the world.
Yeah.
That's my purpose and my goal, and what I want to do is have these impact, and that's why it's so important for me with the kids.
My goal also with the kids is putting them through more hardcore shit.
Yeah,
like putting kids outside overnight, having kids create their own shelter, not without guidance, right? I'm not gonna leave kids in the woods and be like, I'll be back in 5 days.
Yeah, good luck. Lord of the flies.
But kind of, in a way, kind of curating that, like teaching kids, how to filter water, how to make a fire, how to create a shelter. And then ultimately, and I think this is the most important part, how to hunt food. Because I think so much of the dynamic of how we consume food in this country would change if someone had to take a life to be able to eat for their own life.
I think that would change dramatically. They always talk about how people would change their dynamics if slaughterhouses had glass walls. It's something that vegetarians and vegans always say, because you would see the cruelty and how disconnected the humanity is from that.
Exactly.
Seeing how that animal. My mom was always
like seeing what the cropper does when it's picking up all the soybeans for your vegan food and killing millions of little animals. I wish the vegans could see the destruction they cause on the earth.
Yeah.
I totally flipped what you were about to say.
But it works the same way, though, right?
But it's the same thing.
It's the same thing, because we're being disconnected.
If you are not growing your own vegetables, you're not saving a single fucking animal. You're contributing to genocide of fucking whatever's living on that field. That's it. That cropper does not give a fuck about you being a part of PETA or you eating tofu for breakfast. That cropper is running everything the fuck over. That's it. It's the most inhumane thing ever. Gives no fucks.
Works straight across.
Straight across
the board. And that
factory farming is fucked up. Whether you're vegan or eating meat, it's just a fucked up situation to try to feed all the people that are on this planet. But it does put us in a situation where food is so fucking easy to pick up off a fucking shelf in a plastic wrapper or in a fucking box that we are disconnected. And that's why we're fucking fat.
That's part of it.
That's at least part of it.
That's definitely part of the equation. 100% part of the equation.
It's easy to overeat because you don't understand the process. And that's why I want to get kids into hunting. Not just into the drawing the bow or the pulling the trigger part, but being out there, maybe for fucking 10 hours and seeing nothing, and then having to go out the next day, and maybe being out there for an entire day and seeing nothing.
And having the survival skills too, of being able to be out there and being able to forage. Because what if there is nothing day after day after day? Now it's like, now you still got to eat, right? So now you got to know what you can eat. What berry can. How can I prepare this?
Which one of your teammates is weakest?
There's that.
So we can eat that guy.
Yeah. That's a whole different dynamic.
We're not eating people.
No.
Carnivores, not cannibals.
Man, so much covered.
But that, that's my end goal, people, is to have a place where we really can have the warrior focused kids go through that kind of warrior focus. You know, like showing up, having a week-long experience of showing up, creating a camp, you know, all of those things. Mm-hmm. Hopefully ending in being able to harvest food, and that, you know, that's what I would like to provide the kids in our community, ultimately.
And I think that will be the seeds for the future.
100%.
Yeah, and that's where we're at. So it's always, you know, as you well know, if you've watched a few of our podcasts or not, it's the first one, that's what it always ends up being. It comes right back around to it. The kids and the future. Making them better, stronger, more resilient, knowing that they're not fragile.
They're anti-fragile.
Yeah, completely. As we all are. And so are you guys. That's the most important thing to realize, that we are not fragile. And if we're feeling fragile, it can be rectified. We can fix that. We can work on it. It doesn't come easy.
It doesn't come easy. But
from one workout,
it comes easier than you fucking think.
When you start putting the work in.
Because I went from doing 2 pull-ups to now doing 10 sets of 10.
Well,
you know, so yesterday,
went from not being able to run from one trash can to the other on the beach.
Yes.
To doing 48 miles in a weekend.
100%.
Yeah. So it just goes on and on and on. It's just like we're powerful beings. And I always say that in ceremony. I say we are powerful manifestational beings. So let's manifest what we want. You know, let's focus. Let's think about what we're thinking about. Let's focus on that. Let's be aware of what the inner dialogue is. Yeah, inner dialogue is going to be critical and crucial to what comes out and how we can move forward, you know, to kids.
C.T. Fletcher talking to his muscles. I demand you to grow. I command you to grow, as he's going through that curl, you know?
That is a different dynamic. That is it. But that
is it.
That's it.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a...
Don't tell me it doesn't work.
It definitely...
Superman of Compton, bro. Works for sure.
Fletcher definitely pull that off, man.
You ready to wrap this shit?
I think we're there, my brother.
All right. The next podcast probably is still us talking about going to Death Race.
Yeah, we'll have a better idea of what we're doing and how we're finalizing it. And
how we're getting there.
And what vehicle and details of. And then, we'll be posting it. And I think maybe we should make a blog or a vlog about this. And we'll put it out there. However it is, we'll figure it out.
You know how to V some logs?
No, I actually don't, but we can look it up.
We'll V some logs. I'll chop some logs. We're out of here. Let's do this.
Out.